Welcome, one and all, to another edition of the NBL Live pregame show, pregaming this Week 7 matchup between the Broncos and the Seahawks. I'm OSU. I'm hanging out here with Bomber on NBL Live episode number 41. My, how the time has flown. Now, Bomber, let me ask you this. We're about the midway point of the season. Is there a team so far that has caught your eye that you think might have a chance to make a run to the ship?
Well, I kind of wanted to go the opposite direction. I want to talk about a team that's caught my eye in a negative way. Yes, there's obviously the Los Angeles Rams right now, 7-0. And the Cincinnati Bengals are, these two teams are straight up balling right now. And I think Rams have had like a little weaker schedule. Bengals have actually played some pretty tough opponents. They just came off a victory versus the Chargers in this Week 7, and they're currently 6-0. But what I want to talk about is the Atlanta Falcons, man. What's going on? They've won the division 9 times in a row. That's right. Owner one and only is currently 1-5 right now, but he's got a little glimmer of hope because the Bucs are 3-4 right now. So around the league, I'm looking at every team, and that's definitely my disappointment right now. And I'm kind of looking at it like, do they have enough in the tank to come back and make a run for this division?
Falcons for sure a surprise on the negative end, a team that has dominated that NFC South. Now, as we're sitting here at the midway point of the season, we're starting to get some of those big signings coming in from the various teams. And let's start over in San Francisco. We got Eric Armstead signing a new contract this year, 4 years, $28.5 million. Now, this is a guy that everyone agrees has a ton of talent. Young guy, big, strong on the end. But this year he only has 6 tackles. He's got 2 sacks, but definitely having a down year here at Week 7. Is this are they paying for his talent, or are they paying for his performance? Because if it's his performance, it doesn't seem like he deserves that sort of money so far.
It was 4 years, $28.5 million. So I think definitely that was market value for Armstead right now, even though this team is pretty much struggling on the defensive side of the field. Let's talk about Deca Dog and those 49ers, who are currently 1-6 right now. They're 27th in points allowed on defense, 32nd in yards, dead last. They give up the most yards passing, the most yards total, and they're 25th against the rush. Defense is not playing well this year. So I think it was a fair contract. He still has a lot of talent left, and I think there's other holes that they're going to be able to fill by getting this market value for Eric Armstead.
Eric Armstead, no doubt one of the young talents here in the NBL. Another young talent that signed a contract this week was out of San Diego. Melvin Gordon having a hell of a year. He's leading the league in rushing yards so far. He signed a 5-year, $41.3 million. He's already got 5 touchdowns. He's really dominating the league so far, a league that people thought would be dominated by last year's phenomenal rookie in Ezekiel Elliott. Melvin Gordon, I think some people saw him with a slow start in his career, but he's really picking it up now. Is Melvin Gordon the guy that's going to lead San Diego to division titles for the next couple of years?
I think so. I really like Melvin Gordon. 5 years, $41.3 million. Like I said, they didn't get too excessive. They got him on a nice deal. Gets to stay home. Gets to play in San Diego. They're currently 4-3 right now. But most importantly, they're top 5 in the league in rushing. And Melvin Gordon is a big reason why. He's averaging 5 yards per carry. That's right. He's 111 attempts this year, 554 yards. You wonder if he's a 3-down back? I say absolutely yes. Lewis O'Neal is the only one that's taking carries from him underneath him, and he's got 12. So that's 111 to 12. Melvin Gordon is a 3-down back right now that you just got for 5 years, $41.3 million. Absolutely a great deal for San Diego. The fans were happy when they signed him. They're going to have him pretty much for the duration of his NBL career this cycle. So really excited for Prince and the San Diego Chargers getting that signing done.
Sure, the rest of the AFC West not happy to see Melvin Gordon sticking around for the Chargers. And then the big one that came out is out of Tennessee. Marcus Mariota signing a 5-year, $70.1 million contract. He's third in the NBL this year with 1,684 yards. Last year, he was one of the few quarterbacks with a positive touchdown to interception ratio at 26-21. He's a little down from this year. He's got 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. But Mariota, no doubt, a young talent. Tennessee clearly committing to Mariota as the leader for years to come, and in this quarterback-driven league, where do you see Mariota in the league? Is he a top 10 quarterback? Is he somewhere in the middle, or the Titans reaching on this one?
All right, let's look at the Titans right now and check their offense out. I mean, this is a really good question. 5 years, $70 million. It's not too much. I mean, if the franchise tag's at 20, He's somewhere in the middle of the pack, so I put him at about 15 to 14 million a year, and that's kind of where this team has him at right now. So 5 years, $70.1 million is what they paid Marcus Mariota. Let's look at passing yards. They're third in the league, but that doesn't tell you the whole story behind Mariota. He's throwing for a lot of yards this year, but he's throwing the ball a lot. So that's where you're going to look at this. He's got 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. A QBR is almost 10 points lower than last year, 85.5. So I think while he's producing with the yards, it's a little deceptive to the truth behind this situation right now for Tennessee.
Tennessee sitting there right now at 2-4 in the AFC South, but they're definitely struggling, hoping to challenge with the signing of Mariota. Let's get to today's game. We got Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks against the Denver Broncos. The Seahawks 1-4. The Broncos still fighting in the AFC West. Who do you like in this game? Are the Broncos primed to charge for that AFC West crown? They got teams ahead of them in Kansas City and San Diego. The Seahawks have just had a really down year. Russell Wilson is struggling. He's thrown 4 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Who do you like in this game? Where do you think that Seattle can pull out this win at home, or do you think the Broncos are going to win on the road?
Well, I'm going to look at the Broncos right now, and I'm going to say, well, they're 3-3. The Seahawks are struggling, but the Seahawks are at home, so I think the Broncos are going to be able to, just on that alone, I think that they've been playing better this year, and I don't think the home field advantage is really going to do too much for Denver right now. I mean, for Seattle right now to have them overcome Denver. I still think Denver's got it, even though they've been playing great on defense, struggling on offense. The team just really just matches up well with a struggling offense as well in Seattle. So I think Denver comes away with this, and my prediction is going to be about 24-10 Denver, a low-scoring game, as both teams have struggled to put up points this season.
24-10, you heard it here first, and that's going to do it for our NBL Live pregame show, and we're going to send it out right now to CenturyLink Field, where we have the Broncos and the Seahawks here in Week 7 in the NBL. Let's see if we can get another good game here on NBL Live, episode number 41. Thanks for joining us for the pregame show, and we will see you out in Seattle.
Nobody comes into this house without paying the price.
Not here! Not ever!
And we are out here in Seattle, game in progress. Seattle with the ball. It is 1st and 10, and the ball they're already onto the opposite side of the field, driving already against the Stanford defense. Once again, I'm OSU. I'm hanging out here with Bomber as we see a nice little run there from Roth, 6 yards on 1st down. Now, Bomber, we talked about the Broncos and their struggles, but they're still in the hunt for their division. Seattle has for sure been struggling at 1-4. Do you expect to see Seattle to rely on the run game today with Russell Wilson's struggles so far?
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, you got Titus Roth back there. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry, only 2 touchdowns, but that says more about this offensive struggle to get in the red zone and actually convert. Roth is a big back, obviously his 2nd season in the NBL. He had a strong 1st season outing, and I think the guy's continuing to grow, and he's one of the only bright spots on offense for this team that has definitely struggled in the pass attack so far.
3rd and 3 coming up for Seattle, looking to put some points on the board on this opening drive here from CenturyLink Field. No doubt one of the toughest places to play. How hard is it for an opposing team to come in, trying to keep momentum in their division? How hard is it for them to come in and win a game like this, even over a team that is 1-4?
Well, always going on the road is difficult. Obviously, the 12th man in Seattle is always something that, a lot of teams have to overcome. You can't hear. You're like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And then you got the elements of the weather. Right now it's raining. It rains in Seattle. That's a common thing. Seattle's used to that, so that automatically gives them advantage, as it looks like they're going to have to settle for a field goal here to start the game off. 3-0 if the field goal is good, pending the field goal, obviously. And it looks like it's going to be, as Seattle's going to go up 3-0. But I think Denver can overcome, and I think this is a big opportunity on the main stage for Paxton Lynch to bounce back from a slow start and say, hey, guys, I got this on offense. Our defense has been carrying us, but I can be that game manager right now, and I can be the quarterback for us that can help us win some games.
taking a knee in the end zone, down 3-0. We're going to get our first chance to see Paxton Lynch. Now, Lynch, young guy, we all know that. Coming into this this game here in Week 7, that he has thrown 5 touchdowns, but 16 interceptions, which is second in the NBL. He's struggled for sure to keep the ball out of the opposing players' hands. What can the coaching staff do for Paxton Lynch to help him be comfortable in the pocket?
Well, I think it first starts with just limiting the downfield throws. Right now, Paxton Lynch has Demarius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and Cody Core. Those are his 3 top targets. But what's really hurting Paxton Lynch this year, as what's hurt him last year, is he's throwing too many interceptions. I want to give you a stat right now. It's probably going to blow your mind. He threw 35 interceptions last year, which was extremely high, top 2 in the NBL. This year, he's had 5 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. So his QBR of last year, which was 65, pretty pathetic, is even lower this year at 57.3. His completion percentage, which was 58 last year, is 56 this year. So it seems like it's getting worse for Paxton Lynch. I want to bring it back in. You have the options on offense. You have Demarius Thomas. You have Emmanuel Sanders. Let's bring this offense in a little bit and get him some easy targets, get his completion percentage up, and let's let these wide receivers do the work with their legs. As Paxton comes out with a nice play action and throws his first pick of the game. Looks like to Richard Sherman on the right side, and add another one to Paxton Lynch, OSU. That's going to put him up to 17 interceptions on the season now. 5 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Man, Paxton Lynch is really struggling this year for the 24-year-old quarterback in the Madden Bomber League.
No doubt not the way that the Denver Broncos wanted to start this game on the road. Throwing a pick to Richard Sherman, still a force on the outside. Seattle is going to come out here. They've got 3 tight ends to the right. Doug Baldwin's out to the left. And they're going to be running the play-action pass. Wilson looking to the right side at the sidelines, and a toe tap and catch there over on the right. And it is a completion for 14 yards and a first down. Nice throw to the outside on the corner route.
I like Russell Wilson, what he's doing right now. They just get a turnover. They just settle for a field goal. Let's not settle for another one. Let's drive the ball, and let's see if we can make some plays with our wide receiver and trust our elite quarterback and our passing offense.
Russell Wilson, no doubt, still one of the big names here in the NBL, as he hands it off over to the right side, a couple yards for Roth. Nice young running back over there in Seattle, having a great year so far and really taking the force, giving Russell Wilson a running game that can help develop that play-action pass that he is so good at.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's offense is predicated on the run game being strong, and I think Titus Roth brings you that. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry, as I mentioned earlier, but this guy was drafted to be this. He was a late first-round selection by Seattle, 27th overall last year, and he's lived up to it. A lot of people had him going top 10 as he goes underneath, looks like, to Luke Wilson, who picks up just about a couple yards right there. So I'm looking at Titus Roth, and he went 27th overall. And his success, I mean, there's guys that have reached earlier for halfbacks and haven't got the kind of success Seattle's got out of a guy like Titus Roth. So I definitely think he was a great selection for them 2 years ago. NBL Season 20 rookie draft, Titus Roth.
3rd and 3 here for Seattle, looking to put some more points on the board and extend their lead over Denver as Russell Wilson in the pistol, bringing Lockett in motion. He's going to be dropping back to pass. Throws it to Lockett, and it is broken up. Boy, a dangerous throw there into double coverage. Looked like they had an opportunity to intercept that one, and if they had caught that, there was nobody stopping him. He was going to the house.
Definitely, and they're back, and they settle for another field goal. So if I'm Denver right now, OSU, I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, okay, well, we made a mistake. They drove down the field on us. Then we made a turnover. Let's clean up our turnovers, and let's get on a nice drive and settle into this game. It's 6-0. We're right there. We just need a score. That's all I'd be telling to my guys right now. Let's not get too antsy, and let's keep it safe, and let's play some smart football here. Give our defense a chance to help us later on in the game.
Got to be a little boost of confidence for this Denver defense, especially as they have been on the field a lot with those turnovers, but still only giving up 6 points, not letting Seattle into the end zone with that potent Seattle offense. Paxton Lynch is going to come out trying to get Denver some offense. These turnovers has got to be hard for his confidence. You got to believe that some of these are, as you string them together, it just is digging him into a deeper hole.
Yeah. I mean, turnovers. What is the number one thing that offensive coordinators preach to their offense? As a drop right there, number 85 as
That
Lynch
can't
makes
help.
a nice throw, and that's not going to help Lynch's confidence or this offensive confidence. But back to what I was saying, what do offensive coordinators say? Let's limit the turnovers, limit our turnovers. And right out the gate, a guy who's already thrown 16 interceptions through 6 weeks comes out first play of the game and does what? Throws an interception. So this is something they need to have a talk with Paxton Lynch about, and he's got to just be a little bit more, he just needs to be more reserved. He needs to bring it back a little bit. Throwing against Richard Sherman on the first play of the game is a little too aggressive for a quarterback that seems to be struggling this year, and that's just my opinion.
2nd and 10 for the Denver Broncos, coming out on the 19-yard line. Coming out in the shotgun, 2 running backs in the backfield, 2 wide to the right, 1 to the left. He's going to drop back to pass, and he's looking over the middle and a nice throw, making up for that last drop. Paxton Lynch completes his first pass of the game, and it's a first down for this Denver offense, just looking for something to go right, and that's got to be a confidence boost for Paxton Lynch.
And look at what we just saw in the stats. As we obviously joined this game a little bit late due to some technical difficulties, we jumped in, and it looks like Paxton had thrown an interception prior to that one that we actually saw. So for the guys watching in the live audience right now, Paxton Lynch actually has 2 interceptions, and he's 5 touchdowns, 18 interceptions on the season currently right now.
1st and 10 for this Denver offense. Haven't seen a lot of C.J. Anderson, and just as I say that, they do hand it to Anderson, but nothing there. Closed up immediately. This Seattle defensive line is one of the best in the NFC, able to plug up that hole and not give Anderson any room to work with.
Yeah, and shout out to the chat right now. We got Jugs leaving a lot of comments right now talking about Paxton Lynch needs all the help he can get. 16 interceptions in 6 weeks, unacceptable. All stuff I pretty much agree with OSU. I wouldn't disagree with what Jugs is saying right there. That's just a lot of interceptions in very little time. As Shadow Rose joins the chat right now. What's up, Shadow Rose? He runs the Building the Franchise New England Patriots for the NBL Network. Chino's also in the chat right now. 5 touchdowns, 17 picks. It's actually 18 picks now. So he's up to 18 picks, 5 touchdowns for Paxton Lynch. But he's driving right now. And maybe they'll get down the field as they're in a 3rd and long.
3rd and long here as that run went nowhere for C.J. Anderson. He's got 4 carries so far, and he's got -1 yards. It's not what you're hoping for from your running game.
No, especially a running game that, if that running game doesn't get going, it's going to be a whole lot of Paxton Lynch throwing into pass coverages, and that's not a good for anybody wearing white today.
Lynch in the shotgun, 2 wide to the left, 1 to the right. C.J. Anderson in the backfield. He's got a plethora of weapons on this Denver offense, and he's going to be dropping back, looking for one of them. Rolls out to the right. He throws it back over the middle. Dangerous throw, and it is incomplete. And Denver's going to be forced to punt. But another opportunity there is as he couldn't find anybody open and ended up throwing it into tight coverage. A nice defensive play, but certainly those 3rd and long situations are hard for a young quarterback to get out of.
I liked what Lynch did right there, though. He moved out of the pocket. He kept his legs moving. He didn't just sit in there and just take a sack. He kept his legs moving, and eventually he found a little bit of time, but just nobody was open. That's where you got to throw it away. He kind of risked and tried to force a throw in there. Spencer Murray in the chat right now is saying Porter's looking rough right now. Porter is the owner of the Denver Broncos, and yes, looking very rough right now. Definitely some suspect throws thus far.
Seattle is going to be coming out looking to put some more points on the board, and this is one of those moments that you look back at the end of the game, depending which way it goes, and this could be one of those key drives, because if the Denver defense can hold them, you're still in this game. But if Seattle scores, man, you're down 2 scores early. That's got to be tough.
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, if they can get up 14-0, it's going to force Denver into, to start passing the ball even more. They haven't had success all year. They're not going to have success in Seattle throwing the ball. They've already thrown 2 interceptions. It's not even the end of the first quarter. This looks like it could be a long day for Porter and his Denver Broncos.
2nd and 10 for the Seattle Seahawks. They're coming out and hoping to put more points on the board, and we'd like to thank everybody out there who joined us here, NBL Live Week 7, Seahawks and the Broncos. We thank everybody for joining us. I'm OSU. I'm hanging out here with Bomber. Handoff to Roth over the right side. A nice little game. The hole closed up quickly, but Roth is so quick. He hits those holes so well and is able to turn something that another running back might not have gotten that a yard at all. He managed to get 3.
Yeah, he's not even doing much so far. He's 6 carries, 10 yards, and we're sitting here praising him because he hasn't had really anything to go with, and he's doing everything that he's getting, he's earning. So 6 carries, 10 yards doesn't seem great, but for most running backs, it'd be a lot less as Roth is a fall-forward, big halfback in his second sophomore season, and he hasn't let up a bit this year as he's averaging over 5 yards per carry. As I continue to mention that, it's very impressive in the NBL to have halfbacks have that much success through their rookie to sophomore season.
We're headed now to the second quarter with the score Seattle 6, Denver nothing. We talked to the Seattle Seahawks owner player before the game, asked him what is the game plan heading into this matchup against the Broncos, and he said we have to establish the run game. It's a must. If we fall behind and have to rely on Wilson, that's a recipe for disaster. He's lost a lot of confidence in his passing. Strong words coming from the owner for a veteran player like Russell Wilson to have lost his confidence. What do you think about an owner coming out and saying publicly that their star quarterback has lost his confidence?
Yeah, I think that says a lot, and it's not very becoming of a franchise to do that, and it's what can we say? What can we really say to a comment like that? It just doesn't show me much confidence from the franchise, obviously, and that's where a lot of players draw their confidence from, is how their franchise views them.
No doubt, as they're forced to punt the ball, and Denver's going to come out hoping to get something going on offense. It's 6-0. It's still early, and C.J. Anderson has had no success in the backfield. Is this a moment where you look to Paxton Lynch and try to make him, sort of throw him into the deep end, or do you keep running the ball with C.J. Wilson and try to get the run game going?
Yeah, it's 6-0, man. What are we going to panic for, OSU? Why are we going to go out there and possibly have another turnover? Let's get a good drive and play this field position. I think our defense has shown that they're good enough to put points on the board. And I think that's what we need to rely on. Let's move the ball on the ground and pass short, intermediate, at max distances, and let's try not to test Richard Sherman. You see him over there on the right? Let's stay away from that right side. Let's work the left side of the field and cut this thing in half.
Lynch dropping back to pass and throws it another drop. It is raining here in Seattle, so no doubt grip is an issue, but another drop. That can't help a quarterback who is, in that sense, making a great throw. He hit the open guy, didn't throw it to the other team, and yet his receiver just couldn't come down with the ball.
Yeah, that's the second drop, and that right there, I'd say, is pretty depressing for Paxton Lynch. That's 2, right? So he's 1 for 6 now, and I can easily look at 2 that definitely weren't his fault. Yeah, he's forced the other 3, but man, those drops are definitely going to hurt this team as they're trying to get some momentum. And what is the main objective when you have a quarterback like Paxton Lynch? To stay out of those 3rd and long scenarios. So those intermediate to short routes that these wide receivers keep dropping are really not helping the cause for Paxton Lynch, as it looks like he's going to be in a 3rd and 11 right now. Another 3rd and long for Paxton Lynch. We like to see how this folds. We're hoping they can pick up the first down and move the chains, but let's not force anything here. If it's not there, pick up what you can and punt the ball and play the field position.
As we hit this 3rd and long for the Broncos, as we saw C.J. Anderson out of the Wildcat, it's been a big discussion in the NBL. Some people love the Wildcat. Some people think the Wildcat is too gimmicky. It's run its course. Bomber, what do you think of the Wildcat? Is it something that's here to stay and is something that can be effective, or is it just too gimmicky for the NBL?
I like the Wildcat. I think it's a nice change of pace. I'm not Sonny Weaver. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Wildcat is a pure gimmick. I could see that being a run that people can use to kind of change the pace on their offense. And a team like Denver needs those kind of change of pace plays. As Paxton Lynch fumbles in the pocket, gets hit, and there goes the Seattle. They're just making, they're creating turnovers with their defense, and their offense is just kicking in 3 points every time. So here's what I like to say. Okay, so he just turned the ball over, and now everyone's saying, oh, man, Paxton Lynch is so bad. Okay, but if Seattle does not capitalize and put 7 on the board right here, this is going to be a huge issue for me, because they're leaving that door open for Denver when they could step on it right now and start looking to put that padlock on that door.
Well, no doubt that Paxton Lynch is not having a great season. He's had trouble turning the ball over, but the Denver offense is not putting Paxton Lynch in situations where he can succeed. That's another 3rd and long, and he had to run a long developing play against this rush-heavy Seattle defense and is unable to hold on to the ball. It was a nice play on defense as Russell Wilson's going to be dropping back to pass, and he filled it over the middle on a big hit there. And man, I'm surprised that he threw that ball. He put his wide receiver into harm's way. I bet his receiver's going to come back in the huddle and ask for dinner to be bought for him after taking that hit over the middle.
Yeah, definitely a tough pass in traffic right there for Russell Wilson to throw, and his receiver just couldn't come down with it.
Ball a little behind him as we go to 2nd and 10. Ball's on the 20-yard line after the fumble recovery, and a timeout called by Seattle, second one of the half. Saw something they didn't like from the Denver defense, and they're going to come and discuss that one. Now, this Seattle offense has struggled. No doubt is a big reason why they're 1-4, but they do have Russell Wilson. There has been some rumblings around the NBL that maybe Wilson isn't the guy. They might look for a quarterback in the draft. What do you think? Do you think they should stick with Wilson as a guy who has proven that he's a winner?
Well, I like Russell Wilson, and honestly, I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NBL. He's had a couple rough couple of first seasons, but they want size. I heard this from this organization multiple times, time after time. They want size. They don't like the size of Russell Wilson. Will they cut him in free agency? I just don't see it happening. Could they draft a prototype and in a couple years have him step up and develop him and see if he can be a franchise? Definitely. But I don't think they take a pick any earlier than the 2nd to do something like that.
3rd and 6, and as you mentioned, Seattle once again facing a 3rd down, trying to put a touchdown on the board, but unable to do so with some great field position so far. They're winning the field position battle, but their offense has been unable to put anything up against this Denver defense. Credit the Denver defense. They've been able to stop Russell Wilson so far as he is trying to get the first down. The first down is about the 10-yard line. Wilson back to pass, and he's going to be looking, and he looks into the end zone, and it is dropped, almost interception off the drop by Bradley Roby, but they're going to be kicking another field goal here. It's got to be nice to get points out of these drives, but at some point, a touchdown's got to come out of this.
Well, yeah, I like they had a little zig route on the right, and I think they could have hit that and ran for the first down and picked it up and get 6. But this is back to what I said, OSU. They needed to get 7 on that possession. Now it's 9. Now Denver's thinking, what more can we do wrong? We're only down 9 points, 2-score game. Let's go ahead and get into our offense, and let's see if we can just stay with where we're at. No need to panic this early.
It is crazy to think about how Denver's turned this ball over 3 times, and they're down 9-0. But if Denver's able to go down and get a touchdown, they're down only 2 points and by far getting outplayed.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's 9-0, and they haven't done absolutely anything. I'd say, hey, look, the game's starting for us right now. Let's forget everything that just happened. Paxton Lynch already has 3 turnovers. That's 2 interceptions and a fumble. Let's slow down. Let's restart. It's 0-0 for us. Got to win by 9.
1st and 10 as Denver's going to come out, try to put something together, try to get the offense rolling with Paxton Lynch. Again, Paxton Lynch so far on the season, he's thrown for over 1,000 yards so far, but again, that 5 touchdown to 16 interceptions, not what you're looking for. 2nd in the league in most interceptions. And yet, nonetheless, they're still in the hunt for the AFC West. They have played down to their competition a little bit, though. We've talked about how they lost to the 1-6 San Francisco 49ers, lost to the 1-5 Oakland Raiders, but they've beaten some good teams. They beat Houston. They beat the aforementioned San Diego Chargers we talked about, who just signed Melvin Gordon. Is that a mental thing? Are they just playing down to their competition? Is it just unlucky? What happens when a team is playing down to their competition that much?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is what happens when you play down to your competition. You get down 9-0 against a team that's 1-4 that has struggled on both sides of the ball. I don't know what it is with the Broncos. Their quarterback play, I want to say, is playing down to its competition. It's been playing poor this entire season as they run a little play-action FK quick to Emmanuel Sanders, gets to about the 39 as they pick up a first down, and that's only Paxton Lynch's 2nd completion of the game. But, I mean, what can we say about this? They're playing down to the competition of their opponent. That's exactly what they're doing. Their quarterback has been consistently pretty poor. So we can't say it's him, but I think it's honestly the defense. It seems like they come up big in these big games, and they kind of give you a letdown in these games where they're not playing teams that are, per se in the top 10, top 15 in the NBL.
Von Miller still leading this Broncos defense. He's got 2 defensive touchdowns on the year as a dangerous throw over the middle, but is able to come down with it, and that looked like it was Demaryius Thomas. Still a major weapon. That's got to be comforting for Paxton Lynch to have a guy like Demaryius Thomas on your side.
Yeah, I mean, you would think you would have a much better QBR and a much better touchdown-interception ratio with a big target like Demaryius Thomas, who's arguably a top 7, top 6 talent wide receiver in the NBL right now.
2nd and 9 for the Broncos. 3 minutes left here in the 2nd quarter. And once again, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us here on NBL Live Week 7 here as we see the Broncos losing to the Seahawks currently 9-0, but with the ball here in the second quarter as Paxton Lynch is going to throw it over the middle, and it is completed. A nice throw, a safe throw, not into double coverage. Looked like the Seahawks brought a blitz there, but he stood in the pocket, and great job by the offensive line keeping him clean.
Yeah, giving him a little bit of time, and the guy shows that talent that everyone, says that he has. So you give him a little bit of time, and I think the issue really comes with Paxton Lynch is when the pressure starts coming to him, and that's when everything seems to just fall apart for the guy.
1st and 10 for the Broncos. We did talk to the Broncos owner Porter before the game, asked him what they have to do to stay relevant in the AFC West. And he was simple. He just said, we have to keep winning. We have to keep winning these games against this inferior competition and be able to stay in the division. He said that there's too much competition in the AFC, so there's no room for error. If we slip up and lose 3 or more games going into the second half of the season, you can probably kiss our playoff chances goodbye. Very frank from Porter, but you can't disagree with him. You lose a couple games here in the NBL, especially in the competitive AFC, and you're going to be out of the playoffs really quickly.
Yeah, what was the wild card in the playoffs last year? What was it, a 10 or 11 win? And there was a 10-6 team that didn't make it, I believe, was the Cincinnati Bengals. Did the Cincinnati Bengals go 10-6? I don't want to give him an extra win. I don't want to give Sonny an extra win unless he earned it. But I think he was 10-6. He didn't make the playoffs. And there was two other wild cards. So there was 3 wild cards, the hunt, and they were all 10-6 and they didn't make it. So each game matters for the Denver Broncos because they are in this AFC, and their schedule is going to get a little tougher coming up in the next couple weeks as Goodson catches it, looks like, for a first down for Denver. Let's take
nice play.
Yeah, let's take a look at their schedule upcoming, all right? So they're playing Seattle now. They're at home versus San Diego. They're at home versus the Cardinals. Then they hit a bye week. Then they play the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Steelers. So 3 out of those 5 games are going to be a real test for Denver right now. And don't sleep on Kansas City. They're a division opponent. They always play them tough. I know their schedule's been weak to start, but they sneaky stay in games, man. They sneaky stay in games, and that's a team you definitely have to watch down the stretch to possibly slide into that wild card or make a little play and play a little spoiler down the stretch.
Kansas City never fails to let everybody know that they do have Trey McIntyre and how good he is. He is definitely one of the bright young stars here in the NBL. A run there for C.J. Anderson for 2 yards. 2nd and 8. Clock is running. We're almost to a minute left. A little surprised we don't see a little urgency from this Denver offense.
Yeah, it's pace, man. It's pace. Pick it up. But you know what? They're going to play this, and if they settle for a field goal, I think they're okay with it. 9-3 going into halftime after being pretty much completely dominated on the offensive side as they hit a quick flat to number 84. Gets them to a 3rd and 5 for Paxton Lynch. And I'd expect, maybe this is your opportunity to take a shot into the end zone right now.
3rd and 5. We got 47 seconds left here in the half, and no doubt Denver, just any points out of this is going to build confidence for this offense that has struggled to do anything. Credit to the Seattle defense. They have been fantastic so far. As Paxton Lynch comes out in the shotgun, 2 wide to the right, 1 to the left, and they've got C.J. Anderson in the backfield. Play action to Anderson. He's going to be looking to throw it, and it is caught on the 15-yard line, and they do use one of their timeouts. What a nice play call there. He saw the blitz was coming and threw a little quick shot out there to the left side and was able to get it down inside the red zone.
So we've looked at Paxton. He's been pretty on point this drive. He's looked nice. So if this was the start of the game, I'd say, how has this guy got 5 touchdowns, 16 interceptions? Well, now he's got 5 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, and I'm still questioning that because this was just such a nice drive. He had so many nice throws on this drive, and he picked up a nice 3rd and 5 where he didn't just go for the first down marker. He pushed it past there. He's putting some pressure on Seattle's defense. I'd like to see a run right there, but they're going to go a quick little out. Touchdown to Demarius Thomas. Denver tightens this lead. Closes the gap on Seattle. It's going to be 9-7, possibly going into halftime OSU. If you're Denver and you're wearing white right now, you got to be thinking, man, I feel pretty good about our chances going into the second half.
That was a beautiful little timing route. That's got to be one of the hardest throws to make as a young quarterback, but it shows the chemistry that he has with Demarius Thomas. And, man, that was a tight route, and Demarius Thomas shows why he's still one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league.
Yeah, tough route, but it was on the left. It wasn't against Sherman. And that's one of the key things. That's a nice matchup you want to exploit when you got Demarius Thomas over there lined up on the left. He's not going against one of the elite cornerbacks like Richard Sherman. In a situation like that, that's just an advantage that you have to go to as a quarterback.
No doubt a difficult matchup for the Seattle defense as well, as if you put Sherman over there on Demaryius Thomas, then you're leaving Emmanuel Sanders around with nobody. I mean, this Denver offense certainly has the weapons to make the Seattle secondary have fits, as it looks like Wilson's going to come out. They got 3 tight ends, bringing 1 in motion here, and they're just going to hand it off to Roth, but he's got a nice little hole on the left side, and see if that changes the play calling, as Pete Carroll does call timeout, but let's remember Seattle did use 2 of their timeouts earlier in the half, so no timeouts left, 23 seconds, but a nice run on first down. Do you think they try to push it downfield, or do you think they play it conservative?
You know, I'd play conservative. I mean, let's go into halftime. We got the lead. This easily could be 21-7 right now. We stalled out in the red zone 3 times, and we had to kick field goals, so I wouldn't risk a turnover right here. That'd put them in field goal range, and how deflating would it be if you're Seattle to go to halftime down in a game where you pretty much dominated 99% of it. Handoff up the middle to Titus Roth, sophomore, 9 rushes, 25 yards. How would you grade Titus Roth in his first half in the rain, up 9-7 on NBL Live broadcast number 41? How would you grade this young player this far?
I mean, I think no doubt he has the skills to be successful here in the NBL. He so far has looked good. The numbers aren't quite there yet. They haven't really focused on him so far in the Seattle offense. Russell Wilson has been throwing the ball around, as Wilson's going to be throwing the ball here with a second left. He does throw an interception. The time does expire as we head to the second half, but I think no doubt Titus Roth has shown why he's one of the great young running backs, and I think I would be surprised if Seattle didn't focus on him more here in the second half, because he certainly looks like he can do a lot of damage on this Denver defense.
And shout out in the chat to Eddie Mars. Eddie Mars is actually the #1 prospect for the Madden Bomber League right now. He's currently in the grid. Big shout out to him. And also the new owner of the NBL New York Giants, Cortez Logan, just worked his way up from the grid and takes over a New York Giant team that can be real deadly, OSU. The team is very deep. As you know, they brought in Jimmy Graham a couple seasons ago from free agency, but they really have some great talent on both sides of the ball and an explosive defensive line, very athletic, and knows how to pursue and get to the ball.
No doubt, he's definitely getting thrown to the deep end there over the NFC East. That is a tough division with both the Redskins
tough division.
And the Cowboys. That is a division that you, if you're coming up into the NBL, that's one that you don't have any time to get used to the play. You're going to be playing some of the best teams in the NBL.
And there's Russell Wilson forcing it on 1st and 10, making up his mind pre-snap that he was going to go deep. And you know what? With the rain and the elements right now, probably not the best opportunity to take a shot or time to take a shot for Seattle. I would love to see them establish Titus Roth just a little bit more before they start trying to go over the top of the defense.
And let's talk about for a second, we've been talking about Paxton Lynch and how he has struggled this year and struggled early in this game, but Russell Wilson, 2 for 8, 20 yards and an interception. He by far is not having a good game so far and continuing the struggles he has had all year.
Yeah, and I think Russell Wilson has a little pitch to the outside for Roth, and it looks like number 54 takes him out. It's going to be a 3rd and really long for Seattle. 3rd and 13 on their own 18. So this is dangerous territory for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I'm looking at the Seattle team, and I'm looking at Russell Wilson. I'm like, why haven't we talked about this guy in the first half? And it's because Paxton has just looked worse, and he's had the ball more. So it's been more noticeable. But right now, Russell obviously is struggling in this game as well. So both quarterbacks, both offenses kind of struggling. And Paxton Lynch actually went on a drive towards the end of the half and got his team down, and they eventually scored. So a little more hope for Paxton Lynch going into the second half than I have for Russell Wilson.
Wilson throwing it over the middle and a completion and a big first down here for the Seattle Seahawks, as right over the middle, a little post right down the seam to Woodbury, and a great throw there by Wilson. Even in the weather, he's able to get a nice tight spiral there and get it into his receivers where only he could catch it.
Yeah, nice throw by Russell, but I mean, that was just pretty much right in front of him on his first read. Looks like a defense probably broke down and left a little bit too many holes on the defensive end, for that zone coverage, and that's what happens in zone. If you get too much time, the defense, a good quarterback will just pick apart a good defense against zone.
Little outlet there to Titus Roth. A nice play there by Bradley Roby, able to push him out of bounds and make sure he didn't get much farther than that. As the Seahawks going to reach a 2nd and 6 here with 4:45 to go in the third quarter. The Seattle team, one of the interesting portions of the storylines coming in is Jermaine Kearse has fallen to 5th on the depth chart, and we talked to Playa before the game. He said that Kearse has rejected a lot of their contract offers, and therefore they're going in another direction and trying to give some of these sophomores an opportunity to prove themselves on the field. Do you agree with that particular mindset of, you've rejected my contracts, you may be a great player, but we need to see what we have, and we're going to put you down on the depth chart? Do you think that they should take advantage of having Jermaine Kearse, a talented wide receiver on the field?
Well, I think Seattle's a different animal. I think that they just, they're looking for that young talent. Players been known to develop some young talent, so I think giving them that on-field opportunities is what they're about. They like to mix in their youth with their veterans, and if they don't think Kearse is something that they want for the future, then, by all means, that's why they're not going to play him.
Titus Roth with a nice run up the middle for a first down. He's got 11 carries for 35 yards so far. So far, the Denver defense has done a good job at containing Titus Roth, but he is still no doubt a dangerous athlete, as we mentioned in the pregame show, averaging 5.2 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns on the year for the Seattle team that is looking to stay in the hunt. It is early, but you lose a couple more games and your playoff hopes are dashed. As Wilson going to take a shot down the field, and it is intercepted off the tip. Chris Harris with the interception. It looked like an opportunity to come down with that ball, went off his hands here in the wet weather, and Chris Harris, great mindset to bring down that interception. And Denver, an opportunity, getting outplayed all game, an opportunity to come down and take the lead over a team that's been kicking that all game.
Look what happened there. I could barely tell because it's raining. I couldn't tell where the ball was. It looked like the receiver had caught it, and I'm thinking touchdown, and somehow Harris comes up with the interception and is completely turning in the last 2 minutes and favoring the Denver Broncos right now as they're trying to make a comeback on the Seattle Seahawks.
Chris Harris with his 4th interception of the year. Definitely a great young corner for this Broncos defense, who has definitely been the reason why this team has as many wins as they do and has been in so many games. This defense has been leading this team and scoring points when their offense has not been able to.
Yes, 100%. 100% what you said is true, and that's what's going to have to continue for Denver to make some plays down the stretch.
I formation for Paxton Lynch as he comes out 2nd and 6. Ball is on the 20-yard line as Denver's going to look to take advantage of another turnover. It's their 2nd of the game. The first one was at the end of the first half, so they didn't have an opportunity to do anything with that. So a big turnover there as they handed C.J. Anderson, and it goes over the right side. Looked like he had a little room there. 9 rushes for 16 yards, but it's going to bring up a 3rd and short. Nice to see Denver, though, not playing in that 3rd and long area, giving Paxton Lynch a chance to be successful.
Yeah, running the ball, and that's what the chat's saying. So I look at Jug, he's saying you got to run the ball. John Blevins, Deca Dog, the owner of the 49ers, saying pound the rock. Everybody's saying, hey, run the ball. Seattle run the ball. Denver run the ball. Your quarterbacks are struggling right now. The elements, the weather, it's not conducive towards passing the ball. You're not great passing teams as it is. Keep the ball on the ground, and let's see us fight it out in the trenches. But both of these teams have made some mistakes passing the ball, and both quarterbacks are playing very poorly right now. As a 3rd and 2 handoff to C.J. Anderson, picking up the first down, keeping it on the ground. 10 rushes, 19 yards. Not much success on the ground, but a lot less success in the air. That's why we say stay on the ground and pound for Denver the rest of the way, and try to come back and get this victory.
Especially in this bad weather, you got to establish the run game as the ball is no doubt going to be difficult both to throw and catch. And this offensive line able to get a little bit of running room for C.J. Anderson. No success in the first half, but as we see on this drive off the turnover, they're able to give C.J. Anderson a couple holes to run through. 1st and 10 is Paxton Lynch coming out in the, it looks like it's coming out under center. C.J. Anderson in the backfield, he's got 2 wide. He's going to drop back to pass, and it's going to be a screen pass that he just straight overthrows C.J. Anderson. That's got to be the easiest throw to make in the game, right?
Hey, he's been the starting quarterback for 2 seasons. There's got to be some kind of chemistry, a little swing to the outside, flipped it to the halfback, and, man, wide open. I kind of thought something could have developed there, man. I kind of was thinking, oh, whoa, is that a screen? Oh, where's it? I was as confused as the defense. I'm thinking screen left. It ended up being a little screen to the right, and I thought that could have went for a big gain as Paxton threw a little early before the halfback could get his head turned. Just little things like that I can't understand. He makes so many good throws on that last drive before the half, and then now something like that, something as simple as a screenplay he struggles on as he goes over the middle and another drop. Oh, see, that's 3. So is he going to have more drops from wide receivers or interceptions this game? That's what I want to know. That's what I'm asking the chat. We got 3 interceptions. Do we have 3 interceptions already?
2 interceptions and a fumble.
2 interceptions and a fumble. We'll just say turnovers. So he's got 3 turnovers, 3 drops by his receivers. Which one's going to end up more? I'm asking the NBL chat right now. Is it going to be Paxton Lynch, or is it going to be these wide receivers dropping wide open passes from Paxton Lynch?
Another brutal drop as he had a man over the middle of the field. And while you're answering that in our chat, go on, head over to Twitter, give us a follow over there at Bomber League. You can keep up with all the news and notes from the Madden Bomber League as we are here, Week 7 NBL Live. As Paxton Lynch on 3rd down drops to throw, and it is incomplete. Threw it over the left side. Looked like he had a man, but a nice defensive play made over there by Earl Thomas.
Yeah, great play. Great play, Earl Thomas. Look, OSU, I'm not going to cut you off here, but I am going to cut you off because I did, but that pass that just got dropped, put him in this 3rd and long, and you're giving a guy like Paxton Lynch no chance to be successful when you drop open passes that could put him in a 3rd and manageable. That is exactly what he needs to move the chains for this Denver team. They just got to come up. Their receiving core is too good to be making these just young mistakes. This is an experienced wide receiver core. To make these kind of mistakes, it's just pretty ridiculous at this point of their career.
And it did look like that on all these drops we've looked at. You know, the weather is definitely a factor, but no doubt there's just been a lack of focus by the wide receivers of the Denver Broncos. Guys looking to turn the ball upfield before securing the catch, and that can't be helpful for a quarterback, again, who has made some nice throws today. He started off a little shaky. Has a little run there for Titus Roth for a couple yards, but he started off shaky, threw a couple picks, has really settled down, but really he's getting no help from his wide receivers.
No help from the wide receivers, kind of like Titus Roth is getting no help from his offensive line. A nice there allows him to pick up 4, but he really had nowhere to go on that initial handoff. So he just created 4 yards from absolutely nothing and puts them at a 2nd and 6 as Seattle's looking to move the ball down the field, and hopefully they can get to the end zone and show us something.
2nd and 6 for the Seattle Seahawks as Russell Wilson comes out under center. He's got Roth from the backfield. He's got 2 wide receivers out, 1 to each side. He's going to be handed to Roth up the middle, and a nice hole up the middle, and he is
there he
out
goes.
to the 35-yard line, breaks a tackle, and just as you call out the offensive line, a beautiful run up the middle for Titus Roth.
Titus Roth, number 24, he's looking a lot like beast mode right there. Up the middle, stay with them, watch him get into the opponent's side of the field. It just was a thing of beauty watching that guy just unleash.
Marshawn, who no doubt, as Roth comes right up the middle. He's up to 69 yards on the day, and a great job by that offensive line parting the Red Sea for Roth as 1st and 10. Ball's on the 33-yard line. Seattle up 9-7 here in the rain at CenturyLink Field. Wilson's under center. He's got 2 wide to the right, 1 to the left. He's going to toss it out to Roth, who cuts it back up the middle and is able to get back to the line of scrimmage. That looked like a play that was doomed to be for a loss of yards, but Roth, using his quick feet, able to get back to the line, maybe get a yard out of that one.
Yeah, I feel like he should have progressed a little bit more outside. I thought he had a little something when he cut back. Didn't give himself an opportunity to run with his blockers, as it's going to be 2nd and 9 on the 33, so this is doomsday for Seattle. Anytime they get close to the red zone, they pretty much stall out. You see anything different happening here as he comes out in a wildcat with Roth under shotgun? He takes to the sideline. It looks like he's going to do it himself. Titus Roth, 15 carries, 78 yards, 3rd and 1. They're approaching that Denver red zone. They're on Denver's 24-yard line as we go into the 4th quarter on NBL Live. Seahawks up 9-7 on the Denver Broncos.
And once again, we do see another evidence of the Wildcat being utilized by Seattle, and that was a great change of pace. They're able to get Roth a little more room to work on the left side. And a 3rd and short here. Now, if you're Seattle, you're close. You're in field goal range. A field goal does put you up 5, forces Denver to go down and get a touchdown in order to take the lead. Do you think about airing it out, or do you ride Titus Roth, who's been great so far in the second half?
You ride Titus Roth. Pause, but that's what you got to do because this guy is the real deal. This guy's going to fall forward. I've seen him make 4 yards out of nothing. As he comes up here, he's going to walk for about a gain of 8, taking them to the 16-yard line. You just got to keep feeding this beast, keep feeding this beast, keep feeding this beast, because he's your only chance of getting it in the end zone right now. Now, if you want to turn the ball over or settle for 3, put it in Russell Wilson's hands right now. But if you're looking to get into the end zone, ride number 24. He's your 3-down back. He doesn't look like he's slowing down much.
Titus Roth having a great second half, but credit to those big boys on the offensive line. They have opened up some nice holes for Titus Roth to hit. And this Seattle offense is looking to put the ball in the end zone. They've struggled with that so far. 3 field goals in the first half with great field position, but this extended drive as they toss it out to Titus Roth on the left side. Nice defensive play they made there by Ray, able to stop him at the line of scrimmage. But Titus Roth really showing why he's considered one of the top young running backs here in the NBL.
And everything Roth is doing is to the inside. So what I'm having a hard time understanding is why we're going to these tosses. Let's keep it inside and keep him running downhill. We don't need him running east and west. It's not his style of run. Let's get him running downhill, and let's get him going.
5 straight run plays for the Seattle Seahawks, and it's gotten them down the field as Roth is going to be motioned out, and Wilson's going to be throwing the ball. Throws it over to the left side, and it is complete. A nice little hitch route out to the left side. Russell Wilson 5 of 12, only 51 yards, and those 2 interceptions, but Seattle is looking to put some points on the board here late in the game.
Yeah, what does those 51 yards tell me on 5 completions? A lot of flats, a lot of underneath. They're not asking much out of Russell Wilson. So you're not asking much, so there should be no controversy right here. Run the ball. There's no reason to pass the ball right now if I'm Seattle.
And he is passing the ball here on 3rd and 2, and it is over the middle, and it is complete. Russell Wilson with a nice throw over the middle on the drag route, able to complete it to Lockett for a first down. 4.5 minutes to go. 9-7 Seattle on top. Russell Wilson may be getting into a little rhythm late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about a little rhythm. I mean, that was kind of a tough throw in traffic. I'm going to give the wide receiver a little bit more credit than I'm going to give the quarterback, as Roth looks like he's going to try to punch this one in from the 1-yard line, and they send a man in motion, and there goes Roth as he walks in.
Open. I could have run that one in, and I run about a 6.5 40.
But how quick is your 40 if you're running away from your high school nemesis, Richie Incognito?
Well, if you just dangle like a chocolate bar in front of me, I can get that under 6 seconds. But without that chocolate bar, Richie chasing me, man, you're going to be looking at people running a 100-yard dash faster than I run a 40.
And there we have it. Seattle 16, Denver 7, 4 minutes left. Does this offense, they haven't showed us much, but do you think they have any kind of 2-minute drill stuff in their pocket that they can bring out right now as Emmanuel Sanders is returning a kick, makes a nice juke out to the 25, gets us only to the 25, thought a little more came from that. They're down, they're down right now, they're down 9. What does Denver have to do to put themselves in a position to make this, contest this game?
Well, there's no doubt that there's no reason to panic yet. I mean, I'm sure they do have a 2-minute drill, and if their wide receivers would stop looking upfield and actually secure the damn ball, they might be able to do something. But at the end of the day, you've got 3 timeouts. You've got the 2-minute warning. You've got a little rhythm on offenses. Paxton Lynch has looked much better here in the second half. No reason to get away from what you've been doing. Don't be afraid to run the ball, but they do need to have a little sense of urgency, something they didn't have in the first half, as Paxton Lynch way overthrew it. That one, he ate his Wheaties this morning and overthrew that one. He looked like he had a man open and man coverage, but unable to complete that one. That would have been a great way to start this drive.
Yeah, just an overthrow by Paxton Lynch, and it's just, one way to describe him is, and I've watched this game, and I've seen very little from Paxton Lynch over the last 2 years in the NBL. I'm not going to say that I'm this Paxton Lynch big fan. I follow him, relatively closely, I guess, as far as statistically. Haven't seen him too much live, but watching him live, the numbers are starting to make a little bit more sense. He's inconsistent. There's problems with his footwork. There's a fundamental issue with Paxton Lynch that's causing his passes to be so wild. And I don't think it's just the elements, because I'm looking at this guy, he's making the right reads. So I know he does that in other games. But his completion percentage is still very, very poor. He's in the bottom 20. He's in the bottom 7, bottom 8 in the NBL as far as completion percentage goes. And you just need a little bit more from him, especially in a tough division like the AFC Wild West.
Paxton Lynch coming out here. 3rd and 5. C.J. Anderson in the backfield, 3 wide to the right, and Demarius Thomas to the left. And just as he says that, he changes it up, and they're forced to use a timeout. And that is not what you're hoping for here. Late in the game, they use almost their entire play clock and then have to use one of their valuable timeouts without even snapping the ball. Who is that on? Is that on the coordinators not being able to call the play, or is that on Paxton Lynch being indecisive?
Oh, we've put mostly everything else has been on Paxton Lynch, so let's just continue to go that route. The confusion, man, he seems easily confused as a quarterback. He's very inconsistent as they run a screenplay. Looks like they're going to pick it up to Demarius Thomas as he gets out of bounds. So maybe that saves him that timeout right there. A stoppage of clock. Demarius Thomas, nice screen to him as he gets out of bounds. Takes them to their own 40-yard line, approaching midfield right now. 3:22 left on the game clock for the Denver Broncos.
16-7 here in Seattle. Seattle leading the Denver Broncos. We got 3:22 left. Ball's on their own 40-yard line as Paxton Lynch comes out. 4 wide receivers. Jay Anderson in the backfield is going to be looking to throw the ball. And he throws it out to the right side, and it is caught by Emmanuel
And they hang on to it.
What a catch there on the right side, taking the hit and able to get downfield. And that might be one of the first downfield throws we've seen be successful for this Denver Broncos offense.
Yeah, nice throw by nice throw by Paxton Lynch. Great catch by Emmanuel Sanders. They need to get him going. It seems like he can actually hang on to the ball for the Denver offense, and that's exactly what they need as they approach, red zone territory in Seattle. Dangerous pass by Paxton Lynch, nearly picked off. So, he does one good thing. He takes one step forward and usually 2 to 3 back, and that just seems about how this quarterback's been playing thus far on NBL Live.
16-7, Denver definitely needing a score out of this drive as the clock is running out and they were forced to use one of those valuable timeouts. As Paxton Lynch has definitely looked better here in the second half. Are you seeing things from Paxton Lynch? We've talked about, as you mentioned, he's inconsistent. He's a streaky quarterback. But are you seeing things from him where he could possibly be a franchise guy for this Denver Broncos team?
No, I'm no, definitely not a franchise guy. Now, if you can get him, a good value as he throws over the middle, intercepted, user pick, probably gonna squash the game. Earl Thomas, another great play in the backfield, making a great play against Paxton Lynch. His forced throw, looking for Emmanuel Sanders over the middle. This is what I'm seeing. So we saw that nice throw earlier. Well, we called it a nice throw. In the chat, they're calling it a nice catch. So everybody's seeing it differently here, and a lot of people aren't even thinking these throws that Lynch are making are really that great. It's more of the receiver coming down with the ball.
Seattle coming out 1st and 10 with the lead after that interception, and they're going to hand it to the big boy Titus Roth up the middle for another 3 yards, giving them a little breathing room with their backs against the end zone. As this one is certainly looking like it might be out of hand. Denver only 1 timeout left and the 2-minute warning, and Seattle all over the ball. So let's talk about Denver. Now, this is a team that has now lost to 3 teams with 0-1 wins. They do have a very tough division. They're trying to stay in the fight in that AFC Wild West. Where do you go from here? Do you start looking at other quarterback options? Because Paxton Lynch, while he did make some nice plays, certainly hurt this team with those 3 interceptions and that fumble.
Well, yeah, so it looks like they're going to move to 3-4 on the season. Now let's look at what they have on the backup. They have Trevor Siemian, which isn't really even a viable option at this point either. I don't see him doing anything better than Paxton Lynch. I think the best option right now is adjusting their offense to fit what they have. And what they have is a nice halfback at C.J. Anderson, a good running attack with C.J. Anderson. I noticed I said nothing about passing the ball. They have good receivers, screens, slants, drags. Let's bring it in. Let's keep it short. Let's not rely on Paxton Lynch to do much and pick up long distance to maintain first down. So as Roth tries to get a first down there, it looks like it's going to go to the 2-minute warning, most likely a 4th and 3 for Seattle. Here's my point, though. Let me get to my point real quick. My point is adjust the offense for Paxton Lynch. This is not an offense he should be running, okay? You have a solid defense, a really good defense. There is no reason why somebody like Paxton Lynch should be carrying this team when there's so many pieces around him that are good.
No doubt Paxton Lynch is struggling with all those weapons. We talked about the wide receiving core, Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, guys that people on other teams wish they had on their team, but Paxton Lynch is unable to get any sort of rhythm. Is there an opportunity here possibly for the Denver Broncos to go to the free agent market? There are some names out there, namely a guy like Alex Smith, Chase Daniels. I mean, even the former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick is out there and available. Do you think they go out and sign a free agent to give him a chance, or do you just ride C.J. Anderson and hope Paxton Lynch doesn't hurt you too much, because they are definitely still in the hunt in this division?
They're gonna stay with Paxton Lynch, I'm sure of it. And I'll toss him Ryan Fitzpatrick's number, and I'll tell him the magic he did, which they already know what he did last year in Detroit. But they're not giving him any respect, though. And that's why he's kind of stepped away. He's contemplating retirement right now. He's like, if they don't want me, I'll go throw 1,000 yards a game playing flag football, and I can't blame him. The success he had last year, how is he not a starting quarterback, especially when you in the NBL, especially when you look at teams like Denver right now struggling to move the ball? Is another drop from Emmanuel Sanders over the middle, and in traffic against Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman. Definitely not an ideal position for a wide receiver to be in, but I mean, it looks like Paxton Lynch has no care in the world about throwing it with those two elite secondary players back there.
A minute 48 left here in the game. Denver with the ball down 16-7. Be sure to stick with us after the game as we will pick our NBL Live player of the game. We want to hear from you in the chat as to who you think deserves the player of the game. As another ball thrown into traffic to Core and unable to come down with it, but this is just desperation for this Denver team, trying to get anything going. As we also find out that the Seahawks strong safety Mixon will be out for the game. It looks like he has a shoulder injury. Tough loss for the secondary as he's played well so far.
Yeah, their defense has looked good. So, I mean, has Seattle's defense really looked good? I really want to know that. I'm saying that, but I really don't even mean what I'm saying because
Denver's helped.
Denver's offense has looked like a really good defense, if that even makes sense. Okay.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
If we handed out a player of the game for Seattle, Seattle's player of the game is Paxton Lynch. As another interception is thrown over the middle, Cam Chancellor with the pick, and that's going to do it for this game. Seattle is just going to take this one, but no doubt Paxton Lynch was the best player for this Seattle defense all day.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to give player of the week, I'm going to give it to Seattle Seahawks quarterback Paxton Lynch because he gave them so many opportunities today, easily triple what Russell Wilson gave them as they look to kneel out this game, and it's going to be over 16-7 as Seattle's going to improve to 2-4. Denver's going to fall to 3-4. And honestly, I don't see much hope. Both of these teams have a lot of holes, man, and it's obvious. Defense is obviously the strong suit for both of these teams, but their offenses just look inconsistent, and they're very similar. They both have very good running games, but they both like to pass the ball, and they both feel the need to pass the ball, and that's where they get into trouble, and that's why you see such a low-scoring game right now at 16-7.
And no doubt that Seattle, though, while Russell Wilson has struggled with the offense this year, not throwing a lot of touchdowns, throwing some interceptions, he did have a much better game from a management standpoint. He did throw 2 picks, though one was at the end of the first half. Didn't really hurt them at all. And he threw one in the second half that did end up stalling a drive. But it certainly helps to have a guy like Titus Roth behind you because he is a game changer for the Seattle offense.
Yeah, he definitely is. I like what Titus Roth did today. Am I gonna? Is that who you're picking for NBL Live Player of the Game?
Yes.
I want to pitch something to you, man. I mean,
sure.
I want to say that we should take Titus Roth from halfback from Seattle. I mean, it's obvious, right?
It has to be. I mean, Titus Roth was the engine that made Seattle go in the second half. This is a team that only had 3 field goals in the first half with field position inside the 30-yard line on 3 of those drives with all those turnovers. And yet Titus Roth here in the second half, he carried this team on his back, both literally and figuratively, was able to pound the ball. He ended up with over 75 yards rushing and was able to just make this team get in the end zone because without him, this team's still kicking field goals. They're not moving the ball in the red zone at all.
Yeah, so we're disagreeing that it should be Titus Roth, but we're both saying the same thing. That's kind of how I felt calling this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was very not much going on, but I mean it is what it is, and we're here. Titus Roth is obviously unanimous. So all jokes aside, obviously the unanimous player of the game for NBL Live broadcast number 41, Titus Roth, Seattle Seahawks halfback. He just broke open the game and. I mean, thankfully he did because he gave us a little bit of excitement for a small glimpse of the game, and he made it a little entertaining for everybody watching.
Tough game, no doubt, here in the rain at CenturyLink Field, but your final score here from Seattle is Seattle 16, Denver 7. Seattle will go to 2 wins on the year, while the Broncos will drop to 3-4. And we'd like to thank everybody for joining us on this game here at NBL Live Week 7. We hope you will join us again. Give us a follow on Twitter at Baller League and follow us right here on our channel. For Bomber, I'm OSU. Once again, your score from Seattle, Seahawks 16, Broncos 7. We'll see you next time here on NBL Live.